Part 1. The Psychology of Financial Paralysis. For a long time, I lived with a financial paradox. My income was objectively sufficient, yet my bank account told a story of constant scarcity. Every month followed a predictable, frustrating rhythm where, by the final week, I was staring at a balance that barely hit triple digits. I wasn't being reckless. I was simply experiencing a gap between what the numbers said I should have and what I actually kept. Like most people, I initially turned to the standard toolkit of financial management, budgeting apps, complex spreadsheets, and the occasional no-spend month. These methods would offer a temporary burst of control, lasting perhaps 2 weeks before I inevitably regressed to my old habits, feeling more defeated than when I started. The reason these traditional methods fail isn't a lack of willpower, but a misunderstanding of human biology. We often treat budgeting like a math problem, when it is actually a cognitive energy problem. When you sit down to fix your life on a Sunday, you likely try to overhaul every category at once: groceries, gas, insurance, and those gym memberships you never use. This creates an overwhelming number of simultaneous changes that the brain simply cannot sustain. Research from Princeton highlights that the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for self-control, operates on a limited daily energy budget. Every small decision, from choosing an outfit to answering an email, drains that same pool of mental energy. By the time you reach the end of a workday and try to renegotiate a phone plan or audit your subscriptions, your brain is running on fumes. This leads to decision fatigue, a neurological phenomenon where having too many options or changes leads to total paralysis. A famous Columbia University study involving jam flavors proved this. While people were attracted to a table with 24 choices, those given only 6 choices were 10 times more likely to actually make a purchase. Your budget usually has far more than 24 line items. When you look at them all at once, you aren't being strategic. You are triggering a biological mechanism that guarantees inaction. This cycle of failure does more than just hurt your wallet. It erodes your belief that you are capable of managing money. But what if the secret to saving more wasn't doing more, but doing significantly less? In the next section, we'll explore the single focus rule that can boost your savings by over 70% while actually reducing your mental workload. Part 2. The Power of Single Target Focus. The most effective financial strategy I ever found sounded almost too simple to work. I stopped trying to fix everything. Instead of a total lifestyle overhaul, I pivoted to a one bill a month rule. This approach aligns with research from the University of Chicago's Booth School of Business, which found that individuals pursuing one clearly defined financial goal saved 73% more than those juggling multiple goals. This isn't just a slight improvement. It's a total shift in outcomes driven by how our brains prioritize information. When you narrow your focus to a single target, you activate the reticular activating system, RAS. The RAS acts as a filter for the constant stream of data hitting your brain. Once you give it a specific target, like optimize groceries, it starts flagging relevant opportunities that you previously walked past without noticing. It's the same psychological effect that occurs when you buy a red car and suddenly see red cars everywhere on the road. By clearing the cognitive clutter of 20 different categories, you finally have the mental bandwidth to actually engage with and solve the problem at hand. This focused energy allows for deeper optimization than a broad, shallow attempt at cutting everything ever could. Furthermore, Focusing on one category at a time leverages the progress principle, identified by Harvard Business School researchers. They found that the strongest motivator for human effort is the perception of forward movement. When you spread your energy across 12 categories and make tiny, invisible gains in each, your brain doesn't register it as a win. You feel like you've worked hard for nothing, which kills your momentum. However, when you tackle one category and see a significant drop in that specific bill, your brain releases dopamine in response to that visible progress. This dopamine makes the next month's task feel easier, creating a psychological feedback loop that sustains long-term change. Now that we understand why focus beats breadth, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I saved over $1,000 a month by applying this rule to specific categories, starting with the ones that offer the easiest wins. Part 3. 6 months of strategic optimization. To see how this works in practice, let's look at a 6-month roadmap of the one-bill rule. In month 1, I chose groceries. Because this was my only financial focus, I didn't just guess my spending. I tracked every cent for 30 days. This gave me the mental space to implement simple but effective habits: meal planning, switching to store brands, and finally using cashback apps. Because I wasn't also trying to cut my phone bill or insurance at the same time, I actually stuck to the plan. By the end of 30 days, I had reduced my grocery spend from $847 to $623, a permanent $224 monthly saving. In month 2, I moved to subscription creep. I audited every recurring charge and found 14 active services, including duplicate cloud storage and apps I hadn't opened in nearly a year. By canceling half of them and downgrading others, I saved an additional $127 monthly. Month 3 was the most difficult: dining out. Instead of an unsustainable ban on restaurants, I set a rule for intentional dining: 2 planned experiences per week. This eliminated mindless, expensive takeout orders that I didn't even enjoy, resulting in a massive $380 monthly saving. Months 4 and 5 focused on fixed costs, like phone plans, insurance, and utilities. A 12-minute phone call to my carrier saved $25, and 2 hours of comparison shopping for car insurance shaved off another $73. I even tackled utility costs by switching to LEDs and adjusting my thermostat schedule for a $64 gain. Finally, in month 6, I optimized my banking. I moved my savings to a high-yield account, jumping from 0.01% to 4.5% APY, and negotiated lower interest rates on credit cards to avoid late fees. After 6 months of fixing just one thing at a time, the total monthly savings reached $1,023. That is over $12,000 a year without ever feeling like I was budgeting in the traditional, painful sense. Saving the money is only half the battle, though. There is one critical mistake that most people make that causes all those savings to vanish before the next month begins. Next, I'll show you how to lock in your wins permanently. Part 4. The Automation Trap and Identity Shift. The biggest danger to this system is spending absorption. If you save $224 on groceries, but leave that money in your primary checking account, it will inevitably disappear into random, mindless purchases by the end of the month. You haven't actually saved the money, You've just shifted where you spent it. The essential fix for this is automation. As soon as you identify your savings in a category, set up an automatic transfer for that exact amount down to the penny into a separate investment or savings account. This relies on a psychological concept called mental accounting. Research from Carnegie Mellon suggests that how we label money changes how we treat it. Money labeled as available in a checking account is 40% more likely to be spent than the same exact dollars sitting in an account labeled savings. Automation also removes the need for a monthly negotiation with yourself. You have to decide whether to save or how much to save each month. The system does it for you, which preserves your limited cognitive energy and prevents decision fatigue from ruining your progress. Beyond the math, the real power of the $1 a month rule is that it changes your identity. You are no longer someone who is bad with money, trying to struggle through a budget. After 6 months of successful visible wins, you become someone who knows how to optimize their finances. This shift in self-perception is the ultimate compound interest. Once you see yourself as a financially capable person, these behaviors stop feeling like a chore and simply become part of who you are. You aren't fighting your brain anymore. You're working with it. Ready to start your own 6-month transformation? I have a specific recommendation for which bill you should tackle first to guarantee an early win and build the momentum you need to reach that $1,000 goal. Part 5. Your 30-day launch plan. To begin, you must resist the urge to start with your hardest or most emotional category. If dining out is your main source of social comfort, don't make it your first target. Instead, start with whatever provides the quickest, most visible win. Subscriptions are almost always the best place to start because they can often be handled in under 5 minutes, and the savings appear on your very next statement. This early success is the fuel that will carry you through more complex tasks, like insurance shopping or debt negotiation in later months. It is also vital to remember that the goal is consistency, not escalation. Some months you might save $380, while others you might only save $64. A $64 month is not a failure. It is a permanent reduction in your cost of living. Additionally, never skip the measurement phase. You cannot optimize what you haven't measured. So spend the first week of every month simply observing and tracking your actual spending in your chosen category. The real numbers will almost always surprise you and provide the clarity needed to make meaningful cuts. 4. This system works because it respects the actual limitations of the human brain. It doesn't ask you to have unlimited willpower or the ability to sustain dozens of behavioral changes at once. It only asks for focus on one thing for 30 days. So, your move is simple. Don't wait for the weekend. Right now, pull up your last bank statement, find the easiest category to tackle, and commit to making that your one thing for the next month. One bill, 1 month. That is how you stop resetting every month and finally start keeping the money you're already making. Would you like me to help you draft a specific plan for your first month? Or should we look into which subscription tracking tools might work best for your audit?